And we're back with another episode. I'm still Matt. Are you still Josh?
I am still, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Fairly sure? That doesn't sound convincing.
Well, well, how do I check?
Good question. Don't know. Figure it out.
I'm having an existential crisis now.
How do I know if I am Lewis? Is the Lewis from 3 weeks ago the same Lewis that is now? If so, can I remain Lewis?
Well, if you want to get really philosophical, is this Lewis the same Lewis as the Lewis of 7 years ago? Because I think it's after 7 years, every cell in your body is entirely different to the cells now.
Do we have to do another philosophy?
If you want to get really philosophical,
episode?
you could ask the honest questions, which is, Josh, why are we here?
You know what? I was going to try, but I don't know the lines.
This is just going to be an awful lot of silence until you figure it out. The whole weight of the philosophical world.
Do you remember the quote, Josh?
I don't. I was really trying. God damn it.
Oh wait, hang on. Oh no, I just realised.
Yeah.
I just realised what you were doing. You're quoting the song reverse.
Yeah. That's what.
Why are we
were talking
here?
about.
I mean, it's true. What is our pre-existential existence in this world? No. I mean, why are we here? Like, why are we standing here? What are we doing?
I have put it up, of course, because I'm diligent, which is, it's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it? Why are we here? I mean, are we just some product of cosmic coincidence, or is there really a God watching everything? You know? With a plan for us and stuff. I don't know, man. Keeps me up at night.
Who is it that says that? I can't remember.
That's Griff.
Was that Griff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for anyone that doesn't realise, that hasn't followed from last episode, we have been tasked, and I have 50% completed this, of watching the first season of Versus Blue. I am not entirely up to speed, but by next episode I will be entirely up to speed with seasons 1 and 2. I don't know why I've been made to watch this, but apparently this is something I have to do now.
We wanted to watch it, and we thought, well, if we're going to watch it, we might as well turn it into content, because we were planning on doing it regardless.
I mean, this is really what the true kind of content creators do, isn't it? You know, just anything they do in life has to be turned into content, and we're just, you know, sucking up our souls for views. This is the new way the world works now, I guess.
You know what? It's really paid off so far.
Well, Lewis doesn't have to worry too much because he hasn't got much of a soul to sacrifice.
That's harsh.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm offended.
Sure.
Having some of a soul. You think I am? Sold it years ago.
How much for?
I hope you got a good return for it.
Yeah, I got a sweet lock of hair.
You know what? You can't deny those classic Lewis flowing locks.
I mean, the thing is, I know you had hair at one point, but I just struggle to remember.
You knew me when I had hair, Matt.
I know, I knew you when you had hair.
Weird.
I knew you when, but I don't know. I just really struggle to remember you with hair.
My hair was longer than Josh's hair.
I remember
it's like trying to remember. It's like trying to remember a time when I'm quiet.
I think I remember like a photo of you from like year 7 or something, where you had longer hair, and like that's all I remember.
My hair was at its longest in like year 9, and then maybe 10.
Maybe it was then.
And now with the change to university, just shave it all. Convenient.
Convenient.
It is.
Yeah.
But we should probably do our RVB talk, because we have like 4 things to talk about today, I think, something like that.
And how many of them am I going to actually be able to input into?
1, because one of them directly involves you.
Okay.
So that's fine. I got some D&D follow-up. I got some Lasso follow-up.
You got some Lasso follow-up. Okay.
I've had Lasso follow-up for like 2 weeks. I just haven't been doing it, because I keep forgetting.
Oh, okay.
I thought if I mention it now, you can remind me.
Okay.
So, Josh, Red vs. Blue. Do you want to state your credentials? How far have you actually seen before we watched the first season?
State your credentials.
It's really important because, Matt, you've never seen Red vs. Blue. Right, so-
Not properly,
so
no.
as-
I remember vaguely being shown clips of it that made me laugh quite a lot when I was younger. So it's not like I'm entirely like unfamiliar with the franchise, but it's probably been so long. Like it's probably been like since about year 9 since I've seen anything to do with Red versus Blue. So a while,
right? But
probably
like,
about 5 years.
but I've been watching Red
five or
versus Blue
6
for
years.
going on 10 years now.
Yeah, you
Right.
were watching it like since very well,
I
not
was
actually,
probably
not
like
actually
10 or
early. I was
11.
like, I was just about to say you've been watching it since the beginning, but no, that was
Well,
like,
no, I would have watched since I was 4. That seems unlikely.
yeah. I
That seems
forgot
a bit
how early
unlikely,
it
yeah.
started.
When did it start?
2003.
Wow.
Yeah,
So what Halo was that on?
1.
Was that on Halo 1? Yeah,
It's why
yeah.
season 1 looks so weird. It's terrible audio, terrible like video, and the writing's kind of not quite found its footing yet.
it's still
Yeah.
good.
Like I like Red vs. Blue. Like I'm a big fan of Blood Gulch, but like going back and rewatching season 1, it feels like they haven't quite figured it out yet. Like Tucker,
Sometimes be
Tucker
the
doesn't
case
have a
when you
son.
start a series.
Caboose is intelligent.
Caboose is intelligent?
He's not intelligent.
Yeah, but he kind of is. He's more intelligent than Caboose is now.
Oh yeah, but he's not
been
intelligent.
very flannerized over season 1 to season 16.
Yeah, he's like a rock. He has the intelligence of a rock nowadays.
Must have been insulting to rocks.
Although to be
It
fair,
kind of is.
he's like the tank whisperer. Any like
It's
AI driven
It's
machine,
true.
Caboose will he'll
Know how to
charm
drive
it. He knows exactly what to do. Sheila, no problem. Didn't he call it like Fluffy or something? The like big mech
Oh yeah,
from
I
season
like that.
13.
Yeah, that was cool.
Dude just knows.
Yeah. Machines
just
just
does.
like him for some reason.
I'll be honest, though, Caboose isn't the best character. Caboose is
Who would you
like
say is
Caboose is like a low tier character.
so? Who would you say is your
It's a
favorite?
pretty good bar
character?
though, isn't it? Like he's still fine.
He's still good. Like I don't think any of the Reds and Blues are bad. I mean, Doc is like the best.
Doc is the best.
Yeah, you
He's
haven't
also
met Doc
not-
yet. Doc is a season 2 character, but like, so he's such a he never gets any screen time.
I think that's probably why you see him as the best, because like you see some really good
He's
moments
just
from
hit
him.
to hit to hit. When Doc's
Yeah.
I mean, he's the villain of season like 3, right? Because O'Malley
yeah.
takes over Doc's body. Spoilers for Red versus Blue.
Great, thanks.
I don't know if I can claim like I've spoiled someone for this comedy series.
From 2003.
Yeah, it's.
Well,
I
you
mean,
spoiled me because I haven't watched.
you
it
don't
yet.
even know who O'Malley is or Doc.
Yeah, but I will.
It'll be obvious.
Yeah,
It's
but knowing
not-
me, I'm gonna probably completely forget what you've just said anyway, so it probably is irrelevant anyway.
This show is
Probably.
like not like the story's fine, but that's not the main thing. That's not the main thing from the experience.
It's the problem I found with Red vs. Blue as it went along is I wanted to watch it for the absurdist comedy, and it
Yeah.
got really serious from like season 6 to like 13, and then I kind of didn't watch 14, and I haven't
Yeah.
seen 15 either, or 16. I stopped at 13, end of 13. Turns out
Was that that was the
that was end of chorus.
okay.
That was when they
And then
did
the
the
break
big
season.
like church's monologue about safety and like trust and friendship and stuff.
Yeah,
Sounds
I stopped
fascinating.
there. It's such a good scene.
Okay.
It is like because it's the. I think that's where they wanted to end it, and they just didn't.
It kind of feels like
They've been
It,
trying to
it
end
does
it
feel
for
like
years.
an ending.
How many seasons are we on now then?
16.
16.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Why
Like,
do you think they've
you didn't
continued
watch
it
the
then?
entire first season, which is like an hour long. I think 3 episodes is about an hour of season 13.
Oh.
They get really
Yeah,
long
but,
as
like-
they go along.
Oh.
Yeah, they're at least like
Damn.
a full 10 minutes.
But they stopped doing the really dumb jokes where like CPR can cure a head wound.
Yeah, it becomes
Oh, but
a
I
bit
love
more
dumb
grounded.
jokes.
But yeah,
I am dumb jokes.
You are a dumb joke. I'm sorry.
We're all dumb.
I'm sorry,
jokes.
but not sorry.
It's true. Yeah. I'm gonna say something controversial though.
You always do.
Rewatching Red versus Blue.
Let's face it, it wouldn't really be a ReConnected podcast episode if Lewis didn't at least once every episode say something controversial.
Well, no, it says something that I say is controversial. A lot of what I say isn't controversial, but it's just to like play down what it's
like at least once every episode, Lewis has to go, listen, I'm going to say something controversial.
It's a good opener. Red versus Blue on rewatch is not to get on like a little liberal progressive like super SJW.
Say it.
It's got some not quite kosher jokes for 2020.
Yeah.
not quite kosher jokes.
There's a couple of things in it that's like, yeah, that wouldn't fly today. Like, it's not bad or anything, but it's like
something
if
that wouldn't fly.
This wouldn't happen.
Something that wouldn't fly, as in like it will probably just get demonetized on YouTube, or
it would. I think
like
they would just cut it from the script
okay
nowadays.
It's clearly a product of its time.
It really is.
I don't remember.
Which is kind of weird saying that, given the fact that it was made only about how long ago? Well, it started 17 years ago.
Yeah, but it was made in gamer culture 17 years ago.
Yeah,
which
really isn't that long ago in historical terms.
Yeah, but in like internet times,
internet terms, that's an eon away. Yeah.
Like, you look at memes from 2009 and look at memes from 2019, and in 2009 it's like, can I has cheeseburger? And now it's the weirdest surreal stuff.
It's great now.
Like,
it's just so bizarre.
He's
Have
fine.
you seen, just to catch on a new trend, and maybe this is me being completely out of the loop, have you seen this new Dolly Parton challenge going around?
No.
Matt, are you trying to bring up country music? Because we had an argument about this like 4 days ago.
I know. No. This is literally nothing to do with country music. And honestly, I don't know why it's called the Dolly Parton. I assume she started this. It's like where you get like 4 photos, and one's like you on LinkedIn, one's you on Twitter, one's you on Facebook, and one's you on like Tinder.
Okay,
wait, so
I have seen the memes of this though. I've seen
it's like loads of these memes going on. So it'll be like, it'll be like you in a suit looking professional, and then it'll be like LinkedIn, and then it'll be one of you like, with family, and then it'll be Facebook, and then it'll be one of you looking all picturesque in the background, and it's very much like a photo shoot, and it'll be like Instagram, and then there'll be one of you looking like suggestive and all that kind of thing, and then it'll say Tinder. And apparently this is a new thing going around, and I'm like, why?
It's just
I can see this being
exactly, Oh god, I had to explain to my parents the other day the OK Boomer meme. Oh god,
I had to explain the concept of a meme to my mum at some point.
Oh no, I've done that, yeah. But like it was such an ironic OK Boomer moment to explain OK Boomer memes to my parents. It was like, oh god.
I can't imagine how I would explain it. I guess I would just say it's what you say to a boomer when they say something that's
I just explained it to them by saying like, how there's like like different generations. You've got like the greatest generation, the boomer generation, generation X, and then it's millennials, and then it's generation Z, right?
I didn't think this would. I thought that was like the suppositions that everyone knew that, so you would just skip past that bit.
Well, I was just this is my parents. So I was just checking that they did know that.
Yeah, but they're boomers, so they actually like care about those generational things.
Yeah, and so I was like, so my parents aren't actually boomers, but they're generation X.
No, boomer is a mindset.
Boomer really is a mindset, though. Let's face it. And in that case, they very much are boomers. And then I was explaining like how it's basically just a sentence for teenagers to basically say like you're being an old person, basically.
Pretty much.
This is getting very introspective now.
I think you've missed what OK Boomer means. OK Boomer is a completely dismissive tone. It's not
Oh, no,
you're an old
yeah,
person. It's nothing you have to say has any relevance in the modern day. Just sit down and do something else.
Yeah, basically, sit down, shut up. You have no relevance in this conversation because you are a boomer and I am of modern generation, and so therefore have so much more authority when speaking online.
You are but an ant to me.
Right, what were we going on about? Oh, so did you want to say anything more about Red vs. Blue then?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Josh might.
Well, I feel like we should at least talk about what Matt's watched up to.
What have you seen? What was the last thing you saw, Matt?
I can't actually remember.
It does blur a bit.
It really
Season
does.
1 doesn't have many distinct things. Like, it's a lot of just like single jokes, like the warthog jump.
That's good.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. That's happened, right?
That's where they like when there's two warthog jumps. There's one that's cinematically impressive, and there's one where they like jump the car onto red base because it's been shot by the tank.
What was interesting was watching this, and I know it's Halo 1 and it's not Halo 3, but honestly, watching that more than anything actually just made me start to think back to Josh, the extreme gaming parties with Halo 3.
Those are really fun.
That's what it made me think of, is your birthday parties, and we're all playing Halo 3 on Xbox. And because we were so young, we of course weren't playing it seriously.
No.
And
I mean, were you playing multiplayer or were you playing campaign? Because that's the
multiplayer.
Yeah, you don't play multiplayer seriously. You just do the dumb stuff.
Exactly.
It's good.
I mean, who was it at one point? It was on the back of, was it a warthog on the cannon? And they were just driving around the map, just shooting everyone, laughing hysterically. I can't remember who that was, but it was. I can't even remember who it was, but I just remember two of my mates on the warthogs doing that. Oh, oh Christ! What's the map with the giant tower on it?
Spire. Is it called Spire?
Do you remember there was like that giant tower, and then there were basically like two blokes at the top.
Yeah.
Again, I can't remember who. And then they got it, and another two people got in like that big like ship thing.
Yeah.
And like flew all the way to the top just to try and kill them.
This is the most nondescript.
And then got sniped out.
I know, you'll only get it if you're there.
I'm like, is this Avalanche? This can't be Avalanche. Maybe it's Sidewind. I just don't know.
All I remember is there's a really, really big tower. You can get a lift all the way to the top.
It's in Halo Reach. It's in this thing is in the Halo Reach campaign.
Because we were playing it on Halo 3.
Yeah, that map is in the Halo 3 campaign. Halo Reach campaign.
Flying ship that the humans use. Not like the little one,
Pelican.
The big one. Is it the Pelican? Yeah.
Well, you can't fly Pelicans in multiplayer maps.
Oh, can you?
Which one is... you can fly multiplayer maps is a Hornet or a Banshee in Halo 3.
Really? What?
Really? No, I remember it was a big one. It wasn't the little ones.
It was a big one with two gunners on the side.
That would be a Hornet.
A Hornet, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hornets are like
I always thought it was a Pelican.
Halo 3 variants of Falcons. Well, Falcons are more Halo Reach variants of Hornets. Because there's the only time you can fly a Pelican is in Halo Reach.
Yeah.
That's the only time you can fly a Phantom too. Unless you count Halo Wars, which no one does because it's an RTS.
No one ever
does. And it's not flying it if you're telling someone else to do it.
That's like the admiral on an aircraft carrier saying that he flew the fighters because he launched them. But no, I do remember that happening, and then they got to the top of the tower and then they got sniped off immediately.
Yeah,
because they just watched the ship coming up the whole way. Again, this has no meaning to anyone listening to this. Like, no one's going to understand what the hell I'm going on about, basically, other than Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely lost. But
yeah, but just besides that,
in
just
regards to Halo multiplayer,
fun, nostalgic Halo. That's all it is.
Regarding Halo multiplayer,
it turns out that you remember I may have said like 5 or 6 weeks back, like I'm pretty good at SWAT.
Yeah.
What turns out,
yes, you did say that.
if you don't play it while other people are playing it more and more and more,
here we
you
go.
get annihilated.
Here we go. Don't you start backtracking.
I'm not
Don't
backtracking.
you start backtracking.
I'm pretty alright at SWAT still.
SWAT.
But like, SWAT is dominated by about 3 people in a game. And if you aren't one of them, you have a bad time.
Yeah.
That's the point.
You have a bad time.
Yeah. Like, I'm generally pretty alright still, I think. But like, oof. I don't play it enough, and the people who play it know, like, the points in the map where they just look to and someone spawned that they can kill them.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick to single player, I think.
That does seem like a lot of what the multiplayer is about, because the maps are so open. Well, there's a lot of spots where you can just see right to the other side of the map, right by someone's spawn point. Compared to like other
there's no
games.
specific spawn point. It's just like generically spread around the map, so you can just spawn in and instantly be shot.
Yeah, I guess
there's one moment that really annoyed Petman, who I was playing with, which was we were playing like Team SWAT. I was being shot at. They spawned in, immediately died to a shot that was being shot at me because it just wasn't safe. But the game was like, don't know where to spawn them. Spawn them there.
Wow, that's a bit broken.
Right? Just like, well, I'm alive, I guess. But
yeah, that's all.
Instantly died. You didn't even get to play.
That's really stupid.
I'm alive.
But it happens all the time in single player too. You'll spawn in places that are just objectively not safe.
Yeah.
Like the AI will like put the gun down for half a second. Oh, it's safe now. Boom, you're dead.
Would you say that's the same in the campaign?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's where it's
I was going to say, is that what you meant by single player?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else you can do single player.
No,
except firefight. I don't count that.
So talking of the campaign then, so on your lasso for the last 2 weeks, how you been getting on, Lewis?
I'm mad. I'm real mad.
I mean, you usually are pissed off at something, so there's no real sort of surprise there. But
so we did New Alexandria.
Lewis, alleviate.
We did New Alexandria, and we did the first 2 points. If in case anyone isn't aware, New Alexandria is the third to last mission. So we've done all of the ones in between. We've gone from Sword Base. So we did Nightfall last. I told you, didn't we?
I just remember you ranted. Well, all I remember is you saying that Nightfall's really annoying because Emil basically doesn't try to do stealth at all and just starts trying to shoot up the place as soon as he can.
Yeah, because we exploit Nightfall. So let's start from the beginning. I did Winter Contingency and Sword Base. I've spoken about those in the podcast. Brief summary is we were kind of terrible because we just started doing Lasso. So we didn't really know the rules and what you could get away with. So it took ages. We did Nightfall, did it in like 20 minutes because you just sort of start. You just run through the entire level. You literally don't kill any enemies except for the elite at the beginning. You just ignore everything else. You just run through, and then you get in a sort of forklift and then glitch through a wall, and then you go to the end. Like, Lasso isn't built around playing it properly, and if you want to play it properly, you're a masochist. It's just not fun to do. And then we did Tip of the Spear immediately afterwards, and it was generally okay up until we had to like do the spear bit where you had to climb off a tower and kill some guys. We ended up exploiting that too by flying on top of the tower out of bounds, setting a spawn point up there, and then flying back down and trying it again.
That worked.
Because otherwise you would have to run through the entire bit over and over and over, and you would just get instantly killed by beam rifles, and it was not fun. Then we did what some of us, and it wasn't me, because I have like standards, right? Some of us were saying would be the hardest level.
I have morals, I have ethics, I have a line.
It's going to be the second hardest level in the game, which is Long Night of Solace, which is the ship segment. Josh, tell the nice people about the ship segment.
It's awful. It just sucks. It's just like not very.
So I haven't played the
controls.
Remind me, what is the mission?
So you get launched up into space, and then you have to fly around in a ship attacking like.
Oh no! Sorry, I remember this one. Yes,
just a bunch of other ships, but there's no real. You can't really get cover.
I'd like to just interject very quickly. if you've played it on Xbox and you think, oh, it wasn't so bad, the frame rate's doubled, it makes the AI much more aggressive and hit much more consistently. So
Why is that a
it
thing
is
that they did?
about twice as hard as it was otherwise.
So, because is the AI like tied to the frame rate somehow?
Yeah, it does AI checks in between frames, I think.
So why didn't they change that in the PC
Because
release?
it's not that, it's only that mission that's bad.
Okay.
Because what will happen is you'll fly out, a Seraph will see you, and if you don't immediately start evasive maneuvers, you're dead.
That's insane.
That sounds wonderful. I
Now
just say that
imagine
because you were
doing
saying,
this
because you were
every
saying
time
about
you died,
Xbox.
you had to reset to checkpoint.
Oh, Jesus. Because I was going to say, yeah, you said about playing on Xbox. I remember playing that mission on Xbox and being like, oh, this is fun.
It is it's such a boring section as well. It's fun the first time, but like it has a 2-minute wind up of like you just do nothing because you're waiting for the cutscene things to happen without being able to skip them because it's not an actual cutscene. And then you do the fight, and the fight's all right, but not great. Oh, and you don't have a HUD, so you don't even have like the you don't have the target reticles. So you know, like all the prediction reticles, so you can know where to shoot and then hit them. You have to do it by eye.
That's
Lovely.
that's why. But why? It's already hard enough.
But why?
So we died like 3 or 4 times in the entire section because I've done that section enough that I'm pretty good at it. Like I'm not Pedrogas kind of good at it, but I'm like good enough. And we got through it relatively easily. We get on the ship. This is where we started getting relatively good at the game.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we've stopped using sprint now, which is sprint's great if you're playing on legendary normally because you can just like noob combo, but hit one plasma pistol and shoot them in the head. But it doesn't work when the AI basically take no damage. So the solution to this is to melee them. So Joanna grabbed a drop shield so we can actually replenish our health. Because we can't replenish shields, so this becomes the de facto shield. Any health damage we take is temporary. Shield damage is permanent.
Okay.
Pretty backwards.
I was going to say, yeah, that works.
Pet Ben takes just a generic, like, it can be sprint or armor lock or whatever, and then I take hologram when you can. Because hologram forces them to, like, target the hologram, at which point you jump on the elite and stab them in the back. Instantly kills elites.
Really?
It's the only way we can kill elites at the moment. They're too tanky. Because the shields replenish. So unlike brutes where we can hit them 4 times with a needler and kill them, we can't do that to elites because they can't be sort of super combined like needlers can do to brutes.
Right.
But we got really good at taking them down. Like that entire, like we, I think we meleeed our way through the entire section on the bridge where you have to like take down the room full of elites.
Really?
Yeah, because there's 3 of us, so we kept taking the ones down that would get alerted. The next one would be alerted. You'd hologram them, and then you'd instantly kill the next one. It was surprisingly easy, and then Exodus came. Exodus is the worst mission in the game so far. And I have
which
to
one's
stress, Exodus it's the second hardest mission in the game. This is me saying it now. Right? Because they were saying Long Night would be the second hardest because of the ship section. No.
Right.
Exodus.
Okay.
Because brutes are harder to hit in the back. And we have a suspicion as to why. So elites are enemies in multiplayer. Which means that it has to be relatively easy to assassinate them and hit them in the back. So their hitbox is more like refined.
Yeah.
It works better. Elites don't have this problem. No, not elites. Brutes don't have this problem. Because brutes aren't in multiplayer. So hitting them in the back is the hardest thing in the game.
Okay.
Right.
So you have to needle them. But you can't needle them because there's not enough needle around them because you're playing on lasso, which means guns drop half ammo that they normally would, and they already don't drop much. So you get about 9 shots every time you pick up a needler.
Oh my god.
Shoot. That's it.
Yeah. So we do the mission. It's terrible. It's really hard, but it stops being hard once we get past the first section. Basically, the first 10-20 minutes of it are hard, and then you get in the elevator and you start doing the speedrun strats, which is grab a jetpack, walk under every enemy, and then jump up and run away. And then the next section, grab a jetpack, fly up to the top, and then kill the enemies up there. But you've skipped about 20 minutes of fighting normally.
Right.
So it's pretty good.
Okay.
It gets easier then, and then we cheated a little bit. Because there's 3 of us, which makes the final section very easy. So Pet Ben went to go to the end of the level, where you meant to hit a button after you've activated 2 AA guns. I went to the furthest AA gun, and the Joanna went to the closest AA gun. We hit both of them at the same time, and then immediately hit the button to end the level. No enemies had to die.
Whoa.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds like a good way of doing it.
So Exodus at the end was easy, but getting to that end is really hard. And then we panicked because because Exodus has a nasty habit of crashing and then forcing you to redo the level.
Oh god, it's like oh god, what's the game you were just trying to recently play that kept on crashing? Oh, why am I forgetting its name?
I've been playing games recently that crashed.
No, hang on. It was. Oh, crikey! It's going to annoy me if I don't remember it. Saints Row 4.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say it's like
it wouldn't do it randomly. It would only do it at the end of levels. Now take that as what you will, because it means that every time you complete a level, you risk having to redo it.
Right.
So this gets on to why I'm angry, because the level after this is New Alexandria.
Okay, so what's that one?
You fly around in a falcon. And you kill some enemies, and you activate deactivate some comms jammers, and then you fly the Falcon to the end of the level and kill some things. Relatively easy level, very straightforward, not hard. We do the 2 hard sections. We do the hospital and we do the nightclub. We're pretty good. And then we get told to go and help Sergeant Buck by flying him to where he needs to go. And this is where the anger starts. And it ends pretty abruptly too. So he flies away. We're waiting for the next objective.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're waiting for the next objective.
Oh, no.
And then we're waiting for the next objective.
Oh, God.
And I'm not going to do this for the entire 2 hours that we're going to be here. So I'll stop now. He just doesn't... The next objective doesn't come. We have to quit the level.
That sucks.
The only one we have left to do is the plaza. I don't know what it's called exactly, but it's basically just you kill 5 brutes or something, run up an elevator, go and activate the comms jammer, and then run out of the building, and then you fly to the end of the level. We were so goddamn close to the end of the level.
Oh, that must have hurt.
So we then decided to go and play Colony Survival, and we haven't tried since.
You just gave up.
We weren't going to redo it. We didn't have much time to begin with, really, and it was.
That's understandable, yeah.
It's going to be really hard to convince them to go back, because I'm willing to go back tonight, honestly, and give it another go. I'm one of the crazy people who enjoys doing Lasso.
I mean, you are a bit crazy. Yeah.
I enjoy doing it once. I need to say this. So if someone said to me after I've done Lasso, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking of doing a Lasso playthrough. You want to join?" The answer's almost definitely going to be no. But I like doing it once. I like having the little thing that says, "Hey, you've done it. Good job."
Just to say that you have.
Because it's nice to have a challenge, but I don't want to do the challenge 8 times.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's understandable.
It is understandable. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for justifying me. So I'm willing to go back whenever, but we have the hardest mission in the game to go still.
Yeah.
Right.
New Alexandria is relatively easy. The package is a bit difficult, but should be fine. And then you get to Pillar of Autumn. And
Pillar of Autumn, right?
It is the hardest goddamn mission in the game. We know that speedrun strats. It's the last mission.
Is it just when you say last mission, do you mean the actual final stand and all that?
No, that's Lone Wolf.
Okay.
It's the one where you go and rescue. You get Cortana off the planet.
Right. Yeah.
It's that one, and it's so the way that you do this is you have to drop down and kill an elite, get his concussion rifle, then don't die because you're going to need this concussion rifle, and you can't actually die in Lasso obviously because you can't. Every time you die, you get reset. So then,
right,
move your way through the level, and have a second guy with you because it's going to be a bit more convenient. And we're doing it as a 3-man, so it's okay. Then, the guy with the concussion rifle, stand back because you don't want to die. Now run over the buildings. We're doing a little bit of a tricky jump, but it shouldn't be too bad. And skip past all the enemies. A little bit of parkour, it's fine. Then get down to the cutscene where Carter kills himself. Spoilers.
Oh yeah, he drives the ship into the.
Yeah, he crashes the ship into the Scarab. It's great. Now here's where you have to wait. Go with the concussion rifle. Do a couple of concussion jumps so that you can get into a place you're not meant to be, and then jump over the spawn point for the enemies, or like the spawn trigger for the enemies, and run through. Then wait for your allies to respawn. Get to the point where your allies will respawn. Then run through as per normal. Skip most of the enemies regardless. Then run up the stairs and fight like 6 waves of enemies. This is the hard bit.
Oh god!
Because you're on lasso and they have to all die.
Wow.
Now there is a speedrun strat, but we don't know how. We just can't do it. We've tried. It's just too hard. Which is
really?
to you have to jump up to the mat gun with like 6 concussion blasts consecutively, and then shoot the ships with the mat cannon. We just can't do it. We don't know how.
Is that the only way to do it?
I mean, you can fight them normally, which is probably the way we'll end up doing it, because we just don't know how to do the concussion jumps. We just don't know.
You just don't know.
It's hard, man.
I mean, it does sound it, to be fair.
This entire thing...
Oh, man, I couldn't do speedruns.
Everything about Lasso sounds hard.
Yeah, you said you were going to join us, Josh.
Well, originally I said I was going to join you, but then I still had assignments to do when you...
You haven't even beaten the game yet. You've done like Long Night, and that's it.
It's... Okay, yeah, that's true as well. I wasn't feeling it too much. The campaign's not like... It wasn't too enjoyable. I was having more fun just messing around a bit on multiplayer.
Oh, the multiplayer's really boring. I'll be honest.
I'd never experienced it
Action
before.
Action set's pretty good.
Not really.
But, like, it's just not fun.
It's not the best FPS multiplayer in the world by a long shot, but like I'd never experienced it before. So just like playing on all the different maps and different modes. It was fun for a bit.
My thing is that I like long-term goals, and multiplayer doesn't provide that.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm okay with the short term, like just get the most kills. I enjoy that.
I mean, I enjoy that sometimes, but like, it's just I need some meat to my like bread, you know?
Yeah.
And that's
to your bread.
That's what, multiplayer is like, and get the most kills is bread. But Lasso, that's the meat. Or like Legendary, that's the meat. You know, it's something that you can get good at and then move through. And once you've done it, you've done it. And
how do you feel about just going through it on Legendary rather than Lasso?
I mean, the thing is, Lasso is not the way you should play the game. Like, if you want to enjoy yourself, don't do Lasso.
Just don't do it.
I think Legendary in 3 hours is probably like, that's sort of, if you're good at Legendary, that's sort of something you should give a go, just for like a bit of a challenge, but don't do it too frequently unless you're Pedrogas, he's the world record speedrunner of Reach, if you don't know, which I don't imagine anyone would. Like an hour and a half, something.
The whole game on Legendary.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the whole game on Legendary in 2 hours and 20.
Jesus.
Like,
that's
still sitting there shocked he's done it in like about an hour and a half.
Well,
like,
I just realised that probably the way he's done it is obviously by not actually playing the game properly for a lot of it, speedrunning it and just running past loads of enemies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
actually, he doesn't run past enemies. He skips their spawn triggers.
What?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, we do it a lot too when we can. Just why not? Like on, I mean, there's a very small speedrun strat that we do use all the time. We found it by accident. where if you press the elevator button and then walk to the right, you can press the button through the wall, which will teleport you into the elevator once all the enemies are dead, so you don't have to walk back to it.
Okay.
And it saves you, 3 seconds.
You see, I'm not the sort of person that does this sort of thing. I like to actually play the game properly and complete it properly.
Yeah, we did that on our first playthrough, but when you're trying to go for sub 3 hours,
yeah. I don't understand that. I never really like to do that.
There was an achievement for it.
Yeah, but I don't care about getting more achievements.
But there was an achievement for it.
But I don't care about getting achievements.
but Matt, there was that's the only reason to do it. It's the same reason we're doing Lasso. You think we're doing this because we want to? No, we're doing it for the achievement.
This is the thing. I would never do Lasso because I don't care about getting the achievement for Lasso.
You have no commitment.
You're right.
You lack my vision.
we lack commitment to game
you sound like
achievements.
You sound like Sidious.
Yeah, it's the big thing. It's all evil people when they kill their ally. They're like, he didn't have my vision.
Well, it's a classic Sidious line. You will pay for your lack of vision.
It's not a classic Sidious line. This has happened for ages.
Well, I mean, it's just it's a line I remember from Star Wars.
So this is why I like Binding of Isaac a lot, because Binding of Isaac, to play the game properly, you have to get all the achievements.
All of them?
What? Yeah, because you unlock items from the achievements.
God.
Because you get achievements from unlocking items. That's actually what happens.
That would drive me insane. I'm sorry. No.
I mean,
to have to 100% the game. I think this is the thing. I don't try to 100% games.
Why not?
Because it takes too much time and I can't be bothered. And I don't get any enjoyment out of it.
You don't like seeing the number hit 100%?
Well, I don't look at the number to begin with.
Why not?
Because you have to actively try and find the number, and I don't care.
No, you don't.
I just prefer,
on Steam. It's not. Well, I mean,
playing the game.
No, it does show on Steam immediately. Yeah, I just don't look at it. I just don't care.
Yeah,
achievements have never really been the game, and you see, there's this item that you can unlock if you beat the game. If you beat the dark room as Isaac, right?
Okay, but that's something tied. That's actual. That's more content tied to the achievement.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying about Binding of Isaac.
I wouldn't do it for the achievement. I do it for
playing the game more. Right?
Yeah,
you have
but that's
to do
not
new
the
things
achievement.
to unlock new content. You can't just
Don't most games do that though?
No, it's different, right? If you play Halo, you've got Halo, right? You unlock Mission 5 if you beat Mission 6. But Binding of Isaac had a little bit of a meta thing going on because the guy who did it, I can't remember. I think it's Ed McMillan. He hates his players. You think I'm joking? So in 2014, Binding of Isaac Rebirth came out. And
right.
Binding of Isaac Rebirth has... I'm trying to do this off of memory, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But you could have a certain playable characters. I'm now going to go through them to count. You can have Isaac, Magdalene, Cain, Judas, Eve, Eden, Samson, Azazel, and Lazarus. You had 9. Right? There were 9 playable characters that you unlocked in a variety of ways. But there was a secret 10th character you could unlock. So this character had the unique attribute that if you got hit, you instantly died.
Nice.
It's a cool feature.
It's a cool feature. The positive of this character is they could take double room deals for free, so they never lost hearts for sacrificing their health.
That is good.
You know, so you had access to really powerful endgame items. Well, not endgame, but powerful, rare items for free, basically, every time you got access to it. And because you couldn't take damage, you couldn't lose the chance of unlocking the room. You'd basically always get one when you could. So it was good. It was a nice character. It was data mined 109 hours into the launch. So there was no mystery of unlocking it, which is what he wanted. It was just someone went into the files and looked.
That is a bit... Yeah, I can understand getting annoyed at that.
This is why he hates his players.
Yeah.
Right.
So when he released Anti-Birth, which I think was the one that introduced greed mode. What you would do is you would play through the game in greed mode, which is a unique mode. You would reach the bottom of the dungeon, you would defeat Ultra Greed, and then you'd have a little donation box appear, and you could put money into the donation box. And you'd keep putting money in, and it would get to 109 coins, and it would stay at 109 coins, and it would jam. And you couldn't put any extra coins in.
Right.
It was like there was no
and
way.
people data mined to see if there was a way to fix this, and there wasn't. It was fixed at 109.
Oh, wow.
And then 109 hours after the launch, an update came out which added the rest of the content in.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
He really does hate his players.
He really hates his players.
That's almost too mean. Why would you be
I'm
that
okay
much?
with it.
Why would you be that mean?
That's fine.
That's just uncalled for.
It's kind of funny because after the 109 hours have passed, we're still talking about it 4 years later.
Yep. Right, you are.
I am. I like it. I really like Binding of Isaac because it's a really good game. Would recommend. 10 out of 10. It's just...
Talking of games and whether or not we would indeed recommend them.
No, I would
Jedi.
not recommend Jedi Fallen Order. There's my review.
Okay, so Lewis recently just bought. I believe you actually.
I gotta find my notes.
Actually, I believe you actually just bought. You bought the game during last episode, didn't you?
Yep.
Whilst we were recording, so
I've got notes.
Okay, right. So both Lewis and I have played. Well, Lewis has finished the game. I haven't finished the game yet. I'm about 13 hours in, so I've had a fair amount of experience with the game. For those wondering, I'm on the second run through of Dathomir. That's where I'm at in the game. So I've got like most of the.
You know what's funny is I think I'm there as well.
Would you say that I've got pretty much most of the abilities?
You've got double jump, right?
I've got double jump, yeah.
Have you got the climbing gloves?
Have I got the what?
Climbing gloves.
No.
Okay, you're missing one ability.
Okay.
You're pretty much there.
Okay. Oh, by the way, is there anything that lets you through those red laser fields?
What red laser fields?
Like
you have that already.
Really? What lets you go through them?
You get BD1 to disable them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you have to be on the right side.
Oh, okay.
You have to, because he has the
slice thing.
Right, we're gonna go through a little bit an in-depth discussion of the abilities you have. So, in Jedi Fallen Order, you have access to a lightsaber, a double-sided lightsaber, time slow on a specific object or enemy, so it's not generic. Force push, force pull, double jump, and then your droid gets access to motorized like zipline things. You can go up and down zip lines. He can overcharge things to disable them, and he gets a scom link, which is
basically just a hacking device.
It's like a hacking device, yeah. And he can hack droids and sort of
loot boxes and
generic things like that, yeah. And that's about it.
Oh, and your droid can heal you with those stim.
And your droid can heal you with stim packs, and you get some climbing gloves, and that's it. As far as I'm aware, I can't think of anything else.
Okay.
These are your abilities. So it's almost a Metroidvania, but it's. Where should we start, Matt? I don't know how to tackle this.
Okay, right. So, well, let's break it up into sort of. I'll lay out sort of categories we could possibly talk about, and then we'll see which one we want to talk about first. So, okay. I mean, the main ones obviously would probably be talking about the narrative, the storyline, how we think that was, combat, exploration, level design. I'm just going to list some stuff off, like movement, that kind of thing. The graphics, how it plays, the AI.
That's a lot of things. All right, let's start with the story.
So let's start with the story. So we won't obviously spoil anything, and Lewis actually knows the full ending. I don't, but we've played through a fair bit of the game together. So without really any major spoilers, basically the game is set between episodes 3 and 4, you are Cal Kestis, who basically was a Padawan during the Purge in Episode 3, Order 66 and all that. And you are a Jedi on the run. You are a Jedi in hiding. You have been disconnected off from not disconnected, but you have been, trying to sort of distance yourself from the Force for quite a while. For a lack of explanation, because I don't want to try to spoil as much as I can, you basically are forced into a situation where you are now an active Jedi rather than a Jedi in hiding. And really the premise of the story is that you are going on an adventure, Bill by Baggins style, to discover a Jedi holocron, which, for a lack of a better term, is basically just a Force-sensitive hard drive containing the names of a whole load of Force-sensitive kids who, by now, given this is about 5 or 10 years after the fact, are probably teenagers or maybe even adults, who are a whole load of Force-sensitive people that could basically start a rebirth of the Jedi Order, which, of course, at this point is basically been purged. And you are trying to, race against the Empire to find this holocron so that you can save the Jedi Order. That's basically it. Now, one problem that I think Lewis and I both have with the story is the Empire's motives make no goddamn sense whatsoever.
Okay, no, wait, I'm going to interrupt.
Okay.
First of all, I'm going to just throw this out there. This is the best Star Wars story that has been written in the past 10 years.
I will. We will.
Clone Wars doesn't count. Leave it alone.
Okay. But
that wasn't 10 years ago. That was 2008.
I will certainly say that the story is very good. It's certainly a lot better. First of all, it's certainly a lot better than the last Star Wars game storyline that we got with Battlefront 2. And it's certainly a lot more of an enjoyable storyline than ones we have got an awful lot. I would say, game-wise at least, this is probably the best storyline we've had since the first Force Unleashed. And I'd say it's probably better than that.
Fortunately, she didn't have a great story. If you said KOTOR, I think people would start disagreeing with you, but,
Yeah.
Which one?
Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Knights of the Old Republic was but the thing is, though, I've never even fully completed the game, but because I never really played it that much when I was younger. I probably do need to properly play it, to be honest. I do know the storyline, though. How long does it take to complete KOTOR, though? That takes forever. The story is so much longer than the one in this game. But anyway, yeah.
I wouldn't say KOTOR had a release in 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
But yeah, no, KOTOR, the original game at least, is probably a better storyline than this. But it's a good storyline.
I haven't played KOTOR, so I can't say, which is why I say this thing about Fallen Order being the best storyline in the past decade. I thought KOTOR was older than it is. It's actually only 2012.
Really? I thought it was a bit older than that. Anyway, yeah, no, KOTOR has a really good storyline.
2011, actually.
The Empire is a bit. So the ultimate baddie in most of this is a Inquisitor, who you will be familiar with if you've ever seen Star Wars Rebels, called the Second Sister, and she's trying to hunt you down, basically. And Lewis and I can't work out what the Empire's sort of motivations really are, because it seems like their plan is we're going to sort of coerce Cal into basically finding the clues for the holocron for us and basically lead us to the holocron. But at the same time, we're going to try and kill him.
I'm going to spoil a very small amount here. And this isn't a real spoiler, but if you're very concerned, this is the warning. There is a point in the game.
We'll put a timestamp in for when the spoiler's done.
I'm not gonna do that, and the reason being is this is probably gonna come up multiple times.
Actually, that
so it's probably just a good episode to listen to if you care enough. Because there's gonna be a lot of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order today.
Go get it. Basically, go get it.
No, wait, hang on. Don't go and get it. Because my opinion here is don't buy it because it's too expensive.
But basically, if you care about spoilers, basically what we'll say is either get the game now if you care that much about it, preferably wait till it's about 30 quid or thereabouts in whatever currency, and then get it, or basically just listen to the spoiler if you don't really care that much. Anyway, right, go.
So there's a point in the game in which you fight Second Sister for the second time, right?
On
this
Zepho.
This is on Zepho. You've gained the grapple ability, the zipline ability by this point, and you're fighting Second Sister, and you take it down to half health. And this is one of the problems with the game, and I'll come back to this in a bit, which is cutscene happens when she hits half health, and she fights you and then force pushes you through a gateway, and then BD1 is hidden around a corner and then activates a force field to stop her from killing you because you're grossly outmatched.
And then you have a whole exposition chat with her.
Yeah, and then some things come out, and these are actual spoilers, and I won't go into them. And you move on towards the to the temple that you were going to, and you sort of ignore her. But she was trying to genuinely kill you. And then about 5 minutes later, she says, she has a bunch of dialogue, and it basically comes out that, she's getting you to find this artifact because you can find it. And then she's going to, use the information you obtain. But it doesn't make any sense because she was about to kill you. She was genuinely going to kill you. So I don't get why... I feel like this should have been picked up. It doesn't make enough sense.
She's simultaneously trying to use you whilst also trying to kill you, which makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
If she didn't predict that BD1 was going to put the force field up, what was her plan?
I assume, and this would be me trying to make sense of the situation, I would assume that she would try to maim or maybe just capture him and then obviously bring him back to her ship and then basically probably just torture him for the information.
But he wouldn't have had access to it because BD1 is the one who has the information.
Well, yeah, exactly. So even more so it doesn't make sense.
Right, but let's say she doesn't know that and she thinks Cal Kestis is the only one to get it.
Right.
She still needed him to go and find it because he had the information from the last temple. And, you could torture it out of them, but she still has to then worry about Seer, who she knows very well, can go and do this stuff herself. So she can't just sit and wait.
Yeah, I agree. It really doesn't make sense. The only other thing I will say with the storyline so far is Grease really needs to cut back on his salt consumption. That dude has a problem.
That
was good. That was a good scene.
It's so good. I love the fact that Lewis and I both had this thought whilst watching that cutscene independently, and then as soon as we came to talking about it together, we were just like, God damn, his salt consumption is just off the charts.
I liked BD1 trying to complain at him about it as well.
BD1 is the best character. I will fight you. I will fight everyone. BD1 is better than R2-D2. Yeah, I said it.
Oh, wow. You went there?
Yeah, he has one personality. Because the thing about R2-D2 is, I like R2-D2, don't get me wrong, but he's kind of a cylinder with, little wheels, but BD1's more sort of a dinosaur-looking thing. He's like a chicken, you know?
Yeah.
He's a little robot chicken.
He's got a lot more movement going on in his head and body, so he's able to express more.
He's a little robot chicken without arms. He's just he's two legs, a little box, and then a little head on top. And he's tiny. He's like a lunchbox.
I don't have nostalgia for R2-D2, so I really like BD1.
You gotta love R2.
Just look at these cute little eyes, and he looks worse as they add upgrades to him because they don't sleekly fit his design. He just Cal just sticks them on. And it's yeah, this will do.
Okay, so
poor BD1.
So would you say we've covered the storyline?
There's nothing I can say without saying I think the ending's pretty good.
Okay, and I don't even know the ending, but okay, so let's switch to maybe something that we can probably say is a lot more positive about the game, because you can say gripes about the story or whatever. Graphically, the game is stunning. It
looks very good.
There is nothing bad to say about the graphics. They did an absolutely outstanding job. I on my 1060 can't even play it on top graphics, and it looks amazing. So God knows what this is going to look like when I get to my 1080.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Really?
No?
It's not well optimized.
Interesting.
So generally you're at 60, but sometimes you're dropping down to 40. For like, say you just get frame drops. It's not consistently at 40. It will just drop down to 40 and then back up to 60. And you might think, well, that's fine. That's not too bad. Like frame drops can be annoying, but like if they're not too infrequent, if they're too frequent, it's bad. But if they're infrequent, you're fine. But it paired with the gameplay, you don't have like time for it to frame drop.
Right.
Like,
no, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Well, when we get to gameplay, this will be a bit more apparent. But like, frame drops are really bad in this kind of game. So
yeah, you really can't deal with frame drops, and I can speak from experience because on my laptop it isn't running at optimum, obviously, sort of requirements, and so I do get frame drops, and yeah, it's a little bit problematic.
But even if you're playing on the lowest settings you can, it still looks amazing.
Oh, it looks fantastic, yeah. Another thing that we could probably say positively is the level design. The guys that did the level design for this game, really good job. It's not linear. If people are wondering if it's a linear experience.
It is linear. It is completely linear.
Okay, it's linear, but it's not fully linear because you can explore the levels independently of the storyline. You can just run off and just explore the world indefinitely if you wanted to, but it is within a linear sort of level design. It's not like complete open world, but you can run around the map and do whatever you want, and come back to the story whenever you want to.
So this might just be a difference between me and Matt. I would call this game completely linear. Exploration areas are really nice. Don't get me wrong. There is those, but when someone says to me this game is non-linear, I think there are multiple paths I can take. The reality is with this game is you have to go in the direction it tells you to go because it's a Metroidvania in some regards. Is that you unlock upgrades that access new areas. It prevents you from going to new areas without certain abilities. Okay, but many places.
So a game that I would call properly linear would be something like a classic campaign from Call of Duty. That is what I would call truly linear because you have
something that goes level by level.
There is one path, and you are going forward all the time. There is no stepping off that path. There is no exploration whatsoever. You basically just go through the level, and then you go through the next level, and then you go through the next level, and there's no for instance, in this game, you can go between planets. Even if it says the next main objective is on this planet, you can go to another planet.
Yeah.
Now you might be able to.
It doesn't get you to a new objective.
It doesn't.
It allows you to double back on yourself. I still think that makes it linear. Yeah. I can't change my option. I can't decide. You know what? I'm going to join the Sith for a bit. So it's still linear.
Well, and also it's not like the whole level is accessible to you from the get-go. So, like for instance, I went to Dathomir before I should have gone to Dathomir, and I could only get to a certain point.
Go to Dathomir first.
Yeah,
because that's where you get the double-sided lightsaber.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, if you go to get Dathomir first, at a certain point you can get the double-sided lightsaber. If you really want to find out where, you can probably search it up online. But I went to Dathomir before I was told to, basically, and I could only get to a certain point in the level before it basically, puts up an invisible wall.
Some enemies in Zephyr are pretty tough if you don't have a double-sided lightsaber. First playthrough, I didn't know the double-sided lightsaber had some unique tricks to it, so I was doing it pretty much with a single lightsaber. If you get the double, a lot of enemies on Zephyr become a lot easier.
Yeah, get the double lightsaber as soon as you can. It's a definite bonus for dealing, especially with crowd enemies. Right, okay, so so it looks great, level design's great, story's pretty good, although it has little niggles here and there in the problems of the storyline, but it's not too bad. So, gameplay. So to start off with describing the gameplay, I would say this is probably a combination for me at least, this is a combination of basically Uncharted in terms of getting around the levels, and then also a mixture of Dark Souls and Sekiro.
I almost agree.
What other sort of influences would you add into that mix?
I don't think it's a huge amount of Dark Souls.
Well, okay, maybe a bit of Bloodborne, would you say?
No, I just don't think. I just think it's Sekiro.
Sekiro, right? Okay. Is it Sekiro Is it Sekiro or Sekiro? I thought it was Sekiro.
It's Sekiro. That's how they say it.
Okay. Is it okay? But yeah, that's how I describe the gameplay. So, should we start off with combat?
I mean, you can start with combat. I think the best place to start is the tutorial, which I think is the worst tutorial I've ever played.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
what is the tutorial for the game then?
The tutorial for the game is basically you're on a junk planet. You run around a bit and get used to the sort of exploration sort of mechanics for movement. You know, grabbing onto ledges, jumping between ledges, climbing, running, jumping, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to remember what else you learn. You get a lightsaber. Well, you get a lightsaber. You learn combat. You take on a few sort of simple enemies. You learn parrying, which is crucial to the game's combat.
Nope.
Well, it kind of is. Like,
but then you are wrong, because I can beat every enemy without parrying, and it's optimal to do so. Unless it's a stormtrooper with a gun, don't even bother parrying most things. Like, you can, because there are some enemies you should parry.
Well, I was going to say, some enemies you should parry, yeah.
But, like, core to the gameplay system, I'm not convinced, because there are so many unblockable attacks, that you might as well just dodge.
Okay, so it's a mixture of dodging and parrying, but the game does try to make you do parrying a fair bit. Whether or not you should or not, I will leave that up for Lewis to debate. But certainly it's quite helpful if you can, especially with certain enemies. So it teaches you all of that stuff. You also have sort of this is why I put Uncharted in as well. It also sort of has a few cinematic sort of cutscene elements in the middle of the gameplay, very much like an Uncharted. And
does that count as an Uncharted-inspired thing? Is that just not generic gameplay nowadays?
Well, I would say it's from
action
Uncharted.
games.
Like when I think, what I'm saying is like not a cinematic element in a cutscene away from the gameplay, but like in the middle of the gameplay, whilst you're actually still in control of the character, there will start to be sort of really dramatic cinematic elements. You know, like the classic thing from Uncharted would be like, was it Uncharted 3 with the snow that train in the snow and it's like
that was
falling off the
Uncharted
tracks.
2.
Or was that 2? Sorry, that was 2.
Uncharted. I think Uncharted is an overrated game series that I don't like.
By the way, and also like another example could be like Uncharted 4 when you're on a motorbike in South Africa, and you know you got like that vehicle chasing you down and whatever.
Okay, so like the just stuff taken from more cinematic games.
Yeah, but it's not like a cutscene. It's whilst the game's still.
Yeah,
I don't think that counts as Uncharted because I can point to like multiple games that do that.
I think Naughty Dog with like The Last of Us and Uncharted did kind of do a lot of that early on.
That doesn't make it an Uncharted thing. Like
no, but it's one of the at least to me as well. Like that is one of the more bigger games that does that kind of thing.
Uncharted to me is almost exclusively just gameplay that you don't get to interact with and boring gunfights.
Yeah,
that is like I hate it so much.
It's very much a story you play through. It's not focused on the gameplay. It's focused on the story. So if you don't like a narratively driven game, where it's basically you playing through a story rather than the story working around the gameplay, then don't play Uncharted.
The thing is, I do like narratively driven like games, but it's just. The gameplay detracts from the story in like too many ways. Like there's first of all ludonarrative dissonance, which like fine gameplay, you get over it, whatever. Then the gameplay is just too long and boring for like the in between bits. Yeah, that's besides the point. We're talking about Jedi Fallen Order.
Anyway, Jedi Fallen Order, yeah. Okay, so what are your major gripes with the tutorial?
Well, we're talking about the tutorial. Let's address what a tutorial should do.
Okay,
it should teach you how to do the gameplay.
Well, it should introduce you. Well, in the tutorial level, it should introduce you to the world, the main characters, the sort of premise of the story.
No, I'm saying, what should a tutorial teach you? Like, I don't care if a tutorial could literally be like a stupid like off on the side thing. I don't care, right? It's like
even before the game starts. Okay,
I do not care. Yeah. But what does the tutorial teach me? It teaches me how to play the game, the general philosophy of the game, as in like. How is it expecting me to tackle problems?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And, like, a little bit of a challenge at the end, just to, like, practice all of the fundamentals I've learned.
Yeah, you basically bring it all together in a sort of big boss, or not a big boss fight, but a little mini challenge that you need to actually incorporate all of the fundamentals you just learned. Yeah. Okay, so to start off with, then, what would be an example of a really good tutorial that you can think of?
Cuphead, really good. All right, so I was hyperbolic when I said this is the worst tutorial I ever played. Let's.
I was just going to get a good example to compare to what you're going to say about
Cuphead's pretty good because it just lets you go through it. Yeah, Cuphead.
I don't know Cuphead. But anyway,
Cuphead's got a really nice tutorial. I haven't played Cuphead, but I have seen the tutorial. It teaches you everything you need to learn, and it's got everything in there for you. And I can give you an example of a bad tutorial, which is The Witcher. The Witcher has a terrible tutorial.
I can't even remember the tutorial.
Yeah, I know. That's how it's like you stand around with Vesemir and you practice sword fighting a bit. It's kind of bad. The problem...
God, sorry, yeah, I just remember when you're in the castle. Oh my word, yeah, no,
when you're in Cameron,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it isn't good.
Yeah,
I think Star Wars suffers from the same issue
as quickly as possible.
It suffers from the same issue, which is that it basically puts you in the train, and you kill 2 stormtroopers. Okay, now
it's a bit before that. That's running around the junkyard bit first.
No, that's fine. I don't care about that.
Okay,
because it teaches you what you need to teach. Although actually, there's a line that you have to climb at some point. It is not telegraphed that you're meant to be able to climb this line, and for tutorial, that is sacrilege, right? It's just this is a thing I can do apparently. It took me a second to figure out I had to climb the line.
That is one of the problems I do have with the climbing mechanics is sometimes it's not very clear where you're supposed to be climbing, and you start to sometimes think that you're supposed to jump to a certain bit to start continuing climbing upwards, and then you won't actually grab onto it, and then you'll just fall.
Yeah, so I think the climbing is one of the main problems I have with the tutorial, is that the general fighting bit's okay, teaching you the design philosophies of the fighting, but when you do the climbing bit originally, and you think, okay, I kind of get this. It's a bit unclear in places, but generally you know where you're going because it's linear. And then you get to the train, and there's a section where you drop down and you fight a stormtrooper, and then you can't advance any further. And the way you advance is you move to the right-hand side of the train and jump onto one of the things in front of you. But it's incredibly thin and not obvious you can climb on it. And there's on the other side, which you can't climb on, there is something that looks very similar to what's on the right-hand side. So you try and climb the left-hand side because it looks like it's got more of a grip there, and you can't climb it. But you can climb the right-hand side, which has less of a grip. And it bothers me because it took me I was has the thing just not triggered? Has the game bugged? I was no, you just haven't figured out the very small thing that you should be able to climb.
I feel like they could have just done oh god, what game is it? Is it one of the Assassin's Creeds where they basically line all the bricks that you can climb as white?
I don't think that was quite necessary because it wanted to be a bit.
I feel is that one of the Assassin's Creed games?
Uncharted does that.
Lots of games do it where they colour it slightly. I just think in the tutorial it should have been coloured.
It might have been
It shouldn't have been coloured.
Yeah. Right, I think it was Uncharted. Yeah,
it was. I mean, Mad Max does it, and every game does it. Matt, it's not one game.
Sorry, yeah.
Don't worry.
But basically, it's a mechanic to highlight where you're supposed to climb.
Right, and I think it would have been a detriment to the game if they had it for the entire thing. But just the tutorial to say you can climb these things. This is climbable.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
In places where it's not obvious, there are some very obvious things you can climb. You don't need it there.
Because after a while, you start to sort of realise what the game is insinuating is climbable and what isn't.
Yeah, but it just doesn't
certainly
teach
when you
you
begin,
that. It just says figure it out,
yeah.
And it's well, yeah, I could figure it out, but you haven't made it clear. There's argument for don't spoon feed your audience, but it's not spoon feeding to show an example of what you mean first.
Exactly.
It just doesn't do that. It needed to do that a bit more. It's also not skippable, which is the biggest gripe I have with every tutorial ever, which is give me a challenge that I need to overcome, right? And then let me demonstrate I can do that. Don't make me press X to do Y, press Z to do A. Don't make me do this whole rigmarole to prove that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Let me skip it if I would like to. Which is another issue with the game as well, which the cutscenes aren't skippable, which if you're doing a second playthrough, means you're sitting there for 4 hours doing nothing because you don't care. because it's a game.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Yeah, but for a second playthrough, the game isn't that great. Speedrunners, beware, this is not a game for you, because, all cutscenes are non-skippable and you have to watch them. So, good luck going through a second playthrough, watching for a good 5 minutes Grease just pour tons of salt onto his food.
No, that would be the scene you don't skip. It's too
to be fair, there is a fair amount of exposition in that scene, so it's probably, at least for your first playthrough, you probably want to watch that one.
Yeah. I should also mention that with the tutorial as well, is that there are lots of moments where it basically throws a guy at you and says, this is how you parry. And then it throws 3 guys at you, and it's like, well, you haven't really given a lot of time for people to practice with this. You've sort of given them 1 attempt and now said do it 3 times, with 3 attacks coming at you.
Yeah.
And the game isn't good at taking those hits twice. So I don't think that was particularly great. And I want to also mention my credentials here, because this might just sound like I'm complaining that the game
Once
is
again,
too hard,
you need to produce your gamer CV.
It's important for the point I'm trying to make, I think, which is this isn't just get good, right? I play the game on Grandmaster and the game isn't hard.
You have said that phrase before, though.
Right? It isn't a difficult game. It's just at the beginning, if you don't know the perfect timings, it's a bit
right.
You need to get used to it. And the game doesn't give you a chance to get used to it. It sort of just says, all right, here's the thing, now go. And then you do it, you beat those 3 enemies, which are relatively easy to beat, so you don't even get a chance to practice parrying, because you can't just sit there passively and try and learn to parry against them. So you then get really aggressive, and the enemies don't block you, so they instantly die. You don't give me a chance to practice, and then you make me go through this whole thing without practice. Yeah. So then you just don't learn how to do the parrying.
It's very much like a maths teacher being here's one equation, and then they help you solve it, and then they go, fantastic, here's 20, work them out.
Well, I don't think it's quite like that, because if it was, here's 20, work it out, I think you just go through it, progressively. It's sort of here's a linear equation, I'll help you solve this. Now, here's a quadratic. You can work it out, and, eventually you'll get the answer, but, it will take you a while.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was well thought out. Also, it's way too long. It's such a long tutorial.
It's quite a long tutorial, yeah.
It's 10 minutes, start to finish.
Isn't that more for the cinematic kind of story parts, though?
No, you spend 5 minutes just climbing.
Yeah.
You do spend a fair amount of it just climbing, yeah.
You still have 10 minutes. Which
because
is terrible.
I've watched a bit of this game, and it did. Watching is a different experience, I realize, but at least from that side of it, that first kind of area where you're playing, it seemed pretty good, and in just showing you the world, or what was going on at that current point in time.
Narratively, the tutorial is fairly okay. It's from a gameplay experience that I think it has problems.
Yeah.
But no, narratively, if you're just watching the tutorial, there's not really much to sort of gripe about. Yeah, it does a decent job of introducing you to characters in the world and sort of what the sort of narrative is going to be to a certain extent. But from a gameplay perspective, it's not really that great.
Yeah, I liked how it was showing the world, how the world looked like when you were climbing around.
Yeah.
Wasn't the climbing was the main part of the that tutorial area, wasn't it?
Well, the beginning was a lot of climbing, and then the end was a lot of fighting.
Yeah, basically.
Is that when you're on the train?
Yeah, so it's phased.
The junkyard is mainly climbing, and then the train is mainly fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, I quite liked watching the junkyard part. That was interesting to watch.
I did like how they sort of introduced Clone Wars elements into it, showing the Clone Wars sort of ships and everything and all that kind of stuff. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this goes for the level design as well. It's the level design is really good in terms of how it looks and what it represents and all of that stuff. but like, just let me skip the tutorial next time, right? Just like, let me say I'm playing on the 2 harder difficulties. I think I can figure this out. Or like, and if I want to do it, I can do it, right? But like, let me just say I'd like to skip this. Because I wouldn't on my first playthrough, but I definitely would on my second. And if someone says, I want to skip the tutorial, and they haven't played the game before, that's their own fault, right? That's not the developer's fault. So let's talk about actual gameplay now, because this is just the basic tutorial. And
that was just the tutorial.
I can gripe about this all day, right? Once you get to Bogano, which is the first planet of the game, great game, fantastic game, gameplay's good, consistently solid.
Yeah,
there's not much to say about it really. It's like, I'd say it rewards patience, but it doesn't. It rewards spam dodging.
Yeah.
What it wants to do, I think, is be like Sekiro in the sense that it's like patiently wait out the enemy's attacks, learn it, and then parry them at the exact moment correctly, and then attack. What in reality ends up happening is you basically just roll away from them an awful lot, and then basically just like dodge them and attack them when they're in the middle of an animation, and then you keep doing that until they're dead.
Yes.
Which is probably not how the game developers wanted the combat to go, but it's basically how most gamers do it. I mean, it's how I do it. I mean, hell, I beat one of the main bosses on Kashyyyk, which I think Lewis will know who I'm talking about. That's how.
Sister,
yeah.
It's not spoiler to say that.
Okay, yeah. So the Night Sister, is one of the bosses that you face. She is the boss you face on Kashyyyk, I would say. And I assume they probably wanted... I think they designed it as like a great lightsaber battle.
You're not meant to parry Night Sister.
No, you're really not. Like they wanted it. I think they wanted it to sort of almost be like this grand lightsaber battle and duel.
No, they didn't. You're not meant to parry Night Sister. She has too many unblockable attacks for that to be the case. She's specifically
which is
meant
why
to be
I'm confused why they did it like that. Because I would have thought you would have wanted to design that battle as like, as I said, like this great lightsaber duel between the two of you. But as you say, she's got so many unblockable attacks that basically all you end up doing is basically dodging her for 5 minutes. Then once she slams her lightsaber into the ground, you basically just run up to her, hit her a few times, and then go back to blocking again.
Yeah, I think you've misunderstood why that scene is there. That scene isn't meant to be a grand lightsaber battle, it's meant to be a struggle.
Yeah.
Which is why
like
I'm not meant to block it.
Okay.
You're meant to be on the back foot, which is why she's got so many unblockable attacks.
Right, so it's more...
It's not meant to be a grand lightsaber duel. It's meant to be a sort of scrap.
Right, okay. No, actually, no, that makes more sense then. But yeah, so as far as the combat goes, basically, it's very... they want it to be more parrying, but it's more a case of just hold the block button until you figure out the timing of their attacks, and you can work out when they're in an animation that you can attack, and then you basically just wait until they do it, and then you block and evade, and then just attack. Well, sorry, not block, but like you just dodge, and then...
The only time I block is when I miss a parry.
Actually, I just tend to block. Especially with creatures, I'll just hold block and figure out when they're attacking, and then wait, and then just block their attack, and then there'll be a pause in between their attacks. And when that happens, I'll just attack them, and then just wait until they're going to attack again, and then just block again.
I think the only... I block when I miss a parry, and I block when I'm fighting stormtroopers. If I miss the first parry, I just continue to block through the entire barrage because I don't want to get hit. But this dodging is just so much easier. Just I just hit left alt, boom, done, out, dodged.
Yeah.
Oh, and I rebound it to left alt because I played the Witcher.
One thing
that's my dodge button.
One thing I think we both do have a slight problem with though is with some AI and their snap to attack range.
I will put a video of the albino wisp shock in there. It is
basically a giant white spider on Kashyyyk.
It's not quite fair. I think this is my biggest gripe with the combat, and actually it's a lot of the combat design as well, is that it's not actually a very well thought through combat system, in that enemies don't have complex attacks for you to sort of parry and dodge. The most complex enemy in the game, including bosses, is the dual-wielding shock trooper, because he attacks about 6 times in a row with no in-between for you to counter-attack. You just have to block, parry, or dodge. And then you counter at the end of that.
Yeah.
So if you learn how to parry this guy, you've learned how to parry the hardest enemy in the game. Good job, you win.
Pretty much.
It sounds like a joke, and it's just how it is.
Yeah.
And the albino Wearshock in particular has a big problem, which is now not to toot my own horn, playing Grandmaster, which means you get one shot by this thing that hits you with the red charge attack. And
Casual flex.
Casual flex. So when it raises itself up, which is like to telegraph it's going to charge attack. So you think, oh, okay, it's like jammed its feet into the floor.
Whenever enemies are going to make an unblockable attack, they glow red. So it's not hard to miss when they're going to do it.
Yeah, so you know when they're going to do it. So it's like it's positioned itself in a way that like you can just when to dodge. So you'll dodge, and it will rotate towards you. So then you dodge back, and it will rotate back towards you. It just flicks in the direction that you are until it attacks, and then you're meant to dodge. You think, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? Well, no, because it just slide rotates. It doesn't even have an animation for rotating that would potentially slow it down. It just goes where you are.
Yeah, but basically what Lewis is saying is that in simpleton terms, giant white spider, its unblockable attack is it rears up onto its rear legs and, sort of rises up and goes to sort of lunge at you, and it glows red and you can see it coming. And you would have thought, as this would be in real life, that as soon as it starts doing this and it's planted its rear legs into the ground, that you can just move to the side and attack it. The problem is, in the game, it just snaps 90 degrees right or left, whichever way you go, and then just attacks you again.
It's so quick.
It's ridiculously quick. It happens in like a frame.
You can get right up on it, and it tracks you as fast as you can move around it.
So yeah. Good luck trying to actually dodge past its unblockable attack to be able to attack it whilst it's doing it. Because that ain't going to work, Chief.
So this enemy's unfairly hard. This is a difficult encounter, not a challenging encounter. Go back to episode 4 when we talked about this. So it's not fair. I don't think it's a great encounter. On low difficulties, I think it's fine because the punishment for missing that dodge is oh, okay, you take a quarter of your health in damage, but you take double damage on Grandmaster, and you take
Grandmaster is basically a one shot, isn't it?
Oh yeah, literally one shot. I did it on the amount of health you should have when you fight it. I don't know if you can tank the red the charge attack on max health. It's possible. I don't know if it's a great design philosophy to make it so the only way to tank the hit is to have maximum health. But maybe I'm just dumb, and that's actually a valid design choice. Right, and then Ogdebogdo is the opposite of so not the opposite. He's a good design choice because you fight him in a relatively good arena. He's the first enemy on Bogano.
I was going to say Ogdebogdo?
Yep. He's the first legendary beast you'll find. He's to the right of the objective on Bogano. He's a good fight. He's a hard fight. So I have a note, because I made notes as I was playing. And the one note I had is it's like I'm playing Dark Souls. So I'm playing like I'm playing Dark Souls with more iframes. But you actually have a short dodge. This is because I'd missed in the tutorial that you can roll. So that if you just short dodge, you can't actually beat Ogdebogdo. He'll just kill you. You have to dodge, but you don't have to parry, which is why I think parrying is overrated. Because dodging will always dodge an attack. Parrying won't always parry an attack. And the reward for parrying most of the time is, oh, you now get a slight chance more to hit him, but you can just hit them to break their guard regardless. It just seems like a waste of parry
pretty
all
much.
the time. Unless you're already if they're already attacking you, yeah, parry it because you should. But otherwise, you can just dodge and just beat them down. There's no punishment for doing so.
No, not really.
But Ogdebogdo is a pretty good fight. I think he's a pretty fair fight too. Well telegraphed. He's still got the clipping to you issues, but less so because you can stand further back and his charge isn't as brutal. Then there's the I can't remember what they're called, but there's they're sort of gorilla-y things. They're not rancors, but they're it's I'll try and find the name of them.
What planet?
What Zepho?
On Zepho.
Yeah.
The Rillery things.
Yeah, I
Oh
can't
wait, yeah,
remember
the
what it
blue
was.
things. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I know.
so
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So the problem with these is that generally they're an easy fight.
They
And
generally
then
are, yeah.
there's a rabid one. Yeah, it's called a Jotaz. There's a rabid Jotaz, which should be a really hard fight. If it hits you, it basically kills you instantly, like similar to the albino weird shock. Problem is, its arena has a massive pole in the middle that it just gets stuck on.
Really?
Yeah, so you'll be fighting it, and you'll just be like, oh okay, it can't actually hit me here.
Yeah.
So if you play it normally, it gets stuck on the pole. And if you gimp yourself by not letting it get stuck on the pole, you don't have the movement to get away from it because you keep hitting a wall and then you die. So the only way to fight this thing is on the pole. And then it's too easy. It's just a bit... The encounters aren't well designed. The level design and the combat design don't mesh. That's my general criticism of the game. You'll see it all over. On Kashyyyk, you'll encounter an area where you have to fight like 8 enemies at once, and like 4 of them have batons and 4 of them have like rifles. And the way to beat that encounter is to just pull out the double lightsaber and swing randomly until some of them die to make the encounter less chaotic. Because you cannot parry that many enemies without being hit.
Or
But
block.
you can if you
You
just
can't
keep
even
hitting
hold
them.
block.
Yeah, you can't hold block to do it either. But if you just keep hitting them, they'll not attack because they're blocking instead, and then you win.
Pretty much.
So its combat encounter doesn't mesh with its design philosophy, and its sort of enemy design doesn't mesh with its combat philosophy, except for the very basic ones if you fight them like 1 or 2 on 1.
Okay, so I think we've pretty much covered gameplay.
Not quite, because exploration is part of gameplay.
Oh, actually,
And
no, that's true, yeah.
exploration is terrible. It's not rewarding in the slightest. There are 3 things that you want when you explore, and like they're very good, but most of the time it's cosmetics, and it's just kind of.
Well,
yes,
really,
on one hand, it's nice for cosmetics.
what gamers usually want when they explore is they want anything aesthetic, they want buffs to their stats.
To a certain degree.
Well, I mean, usually what you're looking for, or like usually what happens is you usually get either something that's aesthetic or cosmetic, something that buffs your stats, or maybe something that heals you. But that's not really important for this game because you've already got the stim packs.
Something that can improve.
But that's the opposite, Matt. You've hit the opposite of the issue here. Gamers don't just want cosmetics, and they want healing and stats. And this game has healing and stats, and are the best rewards that you can get, because having 8 stims at the final boss, which is not the maximum, you can have 10, I think, it trivializes the game in a way that it does in Dark Souls 2. But everything is a cosmetic. Everywhere you go,
sorry,
there's a cosmetic over here. I don't want this. I want stats. Like,
that's what I mean.
Cosmetics are nice.
That's what I mean. They don't just want. I agree. They don't just want cosmetics. They don't just want aesthetic stuff. And this is the problem. It's the game basically. Anything you discover, any loot box you find, don't expect to get anything out of it that is actually useful for helping you later in the game. Anything you get in a loot box will simply only be cosmetic.
Not loot box. I want to just clarify.
Oh, sorry, not sorry. Well, loot box is bad. What
Crate.
Crate, yeah, crate's probably better.
Loot boxes are very specific and predatory.
yeah. There's no microtransactions.
Thank God.
So basically, anything you get will either cosmetically change your lightsaber, which is cool. You know, you can change the way your lightsaber looks, which is a nice touch.
This is I think in my notes it says lightsaber design, big plus.
Yeah, it's
It would
very
be
cool
more
that you can
interesting if
design
they
the way
had,
your
like-
own lightsaber looks. You know, every single part of it you can change, the color, everything.
It would be interesting if the different parts of the lightsaber and
I
different
agree. Yeah,
crystals actually
you're
had
on the
any
same point as
impact
me. Yeah,
on
if
the
the
stats of the
parts you
lightsaber.
changed could actually change the sort of stats of your lightsaber or stuff to do with your character in general. Yeah, I agree. That would have been a plus, I think.
Yeah.
The only other things you could change is how Cal looks, how your ship looks, or how BD1 looks, and that's it.
And the problem with that is that all of the extra designs look worse than the defaults, except for the Mantis, the ship. At which point, yeah, sure, that's a good enough reward. But like when there's 250 cosmetic rewards and 6 non-cosmetic rewards. It makes the non-cosmetic rewards special, but you don't want to backtrack to like, oh, is this one a cosmetic or is this one not a cosmetic?
Wait, there are actually non-cosmetic ones?
Yeah, you can find force upgrades and health upgrades.
Oh, yeah, I suppose, yeah, those, yeah.
And you can find
They're very,
extra
very
packs.
rare, though, yeah.
This is the problem with them, is that it's not telegraphed which ones aren't cosmetic and are cosmetic, which means a lot of the time when you're exploring, you're just looking for the ones that aren't cosmetic. And you don't know where those are, and you waste so much time doing that. And if you want to get all the cosmetics, go for it, right? Like, I'm doing a playthrough now, which is intentionally doing that. But it does make the ones, like, the secrets, because it does specify how many secrets are in an area. And when those are the non-cosmetic rewards. But I kind of just wish that it would make it clear which ones are secrets. And I know it's secrets of secrets. I get this. I get the idea of what a secret is, but like it's gameplay. Like, have a couple of challenges to unlock things. There's not enough challenges in between things you can unlock as well. I think that's the big problem. Is that a secret challenge is by no means representative of what you're unlocking. So to talk about Ogdo Bogdo. He's a legendary beast. He's the hardest of his species in the game. He unlocks cosmetic, and I think like a Force Echo, which is like a discovery point. It doesn't give you a Force Up or a Health Up or anything like that. But if you, instead of going to Ogdo Bogdo, use your Force ability on like the spinning fan and then walk into the room, you get a Force Up. You could have swapped those, and the rewards would have felt so much better.
That makes more sense. Like cosmetic and like little bits of like story make much more sense to have hidden away in like this more out of the way area rather than like this big boss.
Oh, the best thing about the cosmetic is you can't actually access it because you require an item you get like 2 Force abilities on, which makes fighting it when you can fight it not rewarding, as opposed to just if they moved the Force like upgrade, because it's uses like normal Metroidvania design philosophy, which is you get like X number of Force ups to get a bigger capacity. So you have to get 3 Force like points to level up your Force capacity. So it wouldn't even have been like an immediate upgrade. It would have just been like, oh, you fought this boss earlier, now you can get your Force up a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Right.
There's like moving some of the rewards around would infinitely improve their like value.
Yeah.
But I've never had like a difficult enemy in front of certain rewards. Like, I'm going to use Dark Souls as an example because this is a Dark Souls, like a Soulsborne game. Josh, you know in Dark Souls 3, there's the first area of like the Great Wall of Lothric.
Yeah.
And you move through it and you get down to the bottom area just before Vort of the Boreal Valley.
Yeah.
And on the opposite side, there's Dancer of the Boreal Valley.
Yeah.
And then just before you get into there, there's a knight guarding a chest.
Yeah.
That knight's really hard for the point where you fight him.
Yeah.
But if you beat him,
really
I think you either get like some shards or you get like a covenant.
You get I think you get like it might have been one of the upgrade items or the items for improving your weapon.
Regardless, the reward is generally okay, at least for one style of play. Cosmetics are never a positive reward.
Well,
you do get there is a reward for doing it that's like a gameplay reward.
Yeah, well,
if I get a Mantis appearance change, I'm not like, wow, that's gonna change how everything goes. Like, yeah, if it was for maybe Cow, I guess, because you see Cow permanently, but you see the Mantis in cutscenes and when you're walking towards it.
Yeah, it's nice to get gameplay rewards because then you're like, oh, I want to try this out now. Especially if it's like in this Star Wars game, you get like the different Force abilities. It's like unlocking new ones. That's a lot more rewarding than like getting like a different colored jacket.
Because the Force abilities being unlocked through the story is kind of like what you expect. So I'm fine with like you not unlocking force abilities by like randomly exploring. But it would be nice if there was maybe... I'm like imagining a different game now, right? Let's suppose that this game wasn't made and I get to tweak it before it's released.
Yeah.
If exploring unlocks like different skill points. So like instead of having to buy with skill points stronger force push, you just find it by exploring. And instead of all these... you get a cosmetic that has a force ability tied to it. You don't have to wear that cosmetic, but it's like, oh, this was worn by a force user who was like especially powerful with force push. And by observing his force echo, you learn that, or like you can practice that ability and unlock that. Like there were ways to... I mean, it's not like the most succinct way. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, this is the only way. But like, that might have been nice, or having lightsaber components that would improve your lightsaber. And maybe, and this is a hypothetical here, what if there was more than one way to play the game?
My God.
Well, there's no builds. And not all games need builds, but most games have like a strong and a light attack. You know?
Well, this game is a strong and a light attack.
It doesn't.
X and Y?
Well, I don't
That's not
think...
a strong and light attack. Because I'm playing on PC, but for me, my buttons are left click to attack, right click to block, and F to force attack. Like force lightsaber attack. But that consumes force that you don't get back without attacking enemies more. So the game is just light attack the game.
I mean, I'm not like... I don't think it's completely necessary to have like multiple different playstyles.
But if your game is about fighting, you kind of need it.
Not necessarily, because you can have one place like Sekiro is it does this one thing really, really well, where it's just you have to keep on parrying to build up the enemy's posture, and then you can take them down. But
Jedi Order doesn't do that well, right?
No, well, it doesn't.
If it doesn't do that one thing well, it should at least do two things okay.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't, like, Sekiro does that one thing really well, but like Jedi Fallen Order doesn't. It seems like it was trying to do like something similar to that, but it doesn't like accomplish it to the same level of
and the
success.
problem is force powers are overpowered at the end game.
Yeah.
Like, because you'll be able to get an upgrade that says BD1, when he gives you a stim, will heal you and give you all of your force back. Which means that you can have 8 by the end of the game without really exploring very much. So you just force push every enemy you can off of an edge.
Yeah.
And then enemies you can't, you time slow, and then you just spam hit them as they're coming out of it.
Yeah.
And then they're dead. Or you pick them up and impale them, and an enemy has died. There's just no challenge with force powers.
I mean, certainly don't think anyone coming into this game that you're going to be like Starkiller from The Force Unleashed.
No, you'll never be that, but like, if you're like moderately good at games, this game is a cakewalk.
To be honest, like with force powers though, in a game I would prefer it if you're like actually quite powerful using them, if it feels like that. Because like that, I mean, that's what it would. If you're fighting someone who can't use the force, you're gonna win.
Well, I mean, like, this is the thing. Like, if you're going for it, what's the problem? Either if you are a force wielder in a Star Wars game, either you're a god and stormtroopers are like fleas on the back of the elephant's back, and you know you could just swat an entire platoon away with a swipe of your hand, like it's like in The Force Unleashed, or they have to be a challenge. They can't be like in between. And this is the thing. The game went for a sort of
a challenge, really.
Sort of Sekiro feel to it, where any enemy can kill you, and that's
well.
I mean, any enemy can kill you in Star Wars Fallen Order.
Yeah, an enemy can kill you in any game where enemies do 1 damage, right? If you stand there long enough.
Okay, but they stand a good chance of killing you. It's not like in the Force Unleashed.
No, they don't.
I mean,
okay. At a higher level,
one rat
maybe
will
yeah,
never
but-
kill me.
Okay, well, not at this point, yeah, but like certainly,
No, at the
certainly
beginning
in
of the game,
early
one rat
game.
will never kill me. The only time rats can even damage you is when there's more than one of them.
Okay, maybe I'm just bad at the game.
maybe.
Because you can just be really aggressive against rats. I just keep hitting them because they keep getting stunned.
Do they?
Yeah. Even if they're not, they have like a wind up on all their attacks anyway.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm poor at these kind of games because I haven't played
And even
them
if
a
they
lot.
get an attack off, you then either block, parry, or dodge. Like, there's one rat will never hurt you. In the same way, one stormtrooper will never hurt you.
I mean,
you can
yeah.
make mistakes, of course, but like, they're never going to do enough to kill you alone.
Okay, but I mean, like, if you came
You'd
across
have to be on pretty low health.
Okay, what I
already.
mean is, like, if you came across an entire platoon of stormtroopers on the Force Unleashed, there was never a thought in your mind like, "Oh, I might die."
Not really.
You didn't even think that you were going to take any damage. It was
I mean,
more like,
that's
"Oh,
true.
cool! I get a platoon of stormtroopers to play with."
Yeah,
That's true, but
that
if
was
you play
what it
the game
was.
as you want to play Jedi Order, or Jedi Fallen Order, like, you can't win that encounter the way they want you to. But if you just pull out the double lightsaber, you just can't lose the encounter either.
But there's a possibility you could die.
Yeah, there's a possibility, but like, even like mild game sense is like, oh, okay, force push those guys, kill everyone who's still remaining, and if you haven't pushed them all off of a ledge, now you just go and pick off the rest, and you've gained back all of the force that you lost by doing the force push.
Right.
It's too easy to exploit a lot of places.
Okay,
But
no, that makes
then
sense, yeah.
you get to like bosses, and bosses go, "Oh yeah, we don't care about any of your force powers,
They really don't.
except for Second Sister, who is incredibly susceptible to time slow."
She is actually, yeah.
I kind of don't like that when that happens in games. Like for the
Don't worry,
most
she
small
has loads of
enemies,
almost undodgeable attacks. Like, she's gonna hit you.
like I don't like when you have powers in games that just don't affect bosses. It just makes it really unfun because then like the parts the bosses that like supposedly are meant to seem like more grand and exciting then don't make use of like the fun gameplay, the game mechanics that you've introduced to people.
So if you have a power
is
in the
that
game,
true
it should be able
with-
to be used against everyone.
I think so. I mean, maybe there should be a couple of exceptions, but I don't think the bosses should really be exceptions because then, like, that's
You can hit all of the enemies and bosses with your force powers. They just
Okay.
don't do anything really. Like, if you
Well, they
force
did,
push.
well, not majorly
No,
anyway.
the sister's going to be like, yeah, you what, mate, and then jump at you anyway. If you time slow her, she'll be slowed, but like not as much as Second Sister is. For some reason, Ninth Sister is just like a really hard boss out of nowhere. And, like, if you force pull them, they get a little bit staggered. But that's the case for all enemies that aren't stormtroopers. Like, purge troopers can't be affected by force powers really either. Because
Yeah,
when
not
you
really,
pull
yeah.
them, they stagger and then they immediately start trying to fight again. So if you pull them and then attack, you're good. But if you pull them and then leave them, then unaffected.
yeah.
Okay, so would you
then
say
that's
that
just
we've-
like there's this power that is actually pretty fun to use, but you rarely ever get
I mean,
a
they're
chance
not
to
fun
use
to
it.
use either, really. I think
They're not
that's
really
the
that
thing with them.
fun
to
Is
use.
they're
Yeah.
tools to sword fight, and the sword fighting is fun.
What I will say
Okay.
is like mass force pull combined with like AOE double lightsaber attacks is freaking overpowered.
Yeah.
Like, cause, like if you run into an area where there's like loads and loads of stormtroopers, you could just force pull them all towards you, get out your double lightsaber, and then do like attacks where it like swings it around in like an arc, and then just like kill everyone.
Yeah.
I've honestly found that just like force pushing them is the easiest way to do it. Like, they just all get knocked over.
That's true, yeah, but then you have to run around
then you
trying to
just-
hit them all.
Yeah, but then you just swing in a circle, right? Then you just pick them off. And if they're getting up, they're susceptible. And then you gain your force powers back too, so you can do it again.
Right.
And then if you don't get it back and you've taken any damage, BD1 gives you all of your force powers back. So force powers eventually just become a single fight burned resource because you're never far away from a meditation point.
Another hilarious thing is when they throw an explosive at you and they're all clumped together and then you just force push the explosive back at them and then they're just all dead immediately.
That feels like a waste when I do that because it never actually kills them. It just like dinks them. But if you do it with a drone,
yeah, if
instantly kills anything.
Yeah, if a security drone is about to explode and you force push it back at everyone, they just automatically will die.
It's not automatic, but it's pretty damn close. Like, it's broken.
Yeah, it's proper broken. Like, the droid blowing up kills people fairly automatically unless they're, like, a fairly, like, high up, like, purge troop or something. But a grenade doesn't.
I think if they made a sequel to this game and then focused a lot more on making the combat, like, challenging, not difficult, like, just increasing the numbers, like, so that your parry chance is, like, well, the parry window is tiny. After a while, your parry window is equally the same size because you're just used to it being small, so you just know how to do it. Like, you get better at doing it very quickly, and then you can parry anything regardless, and the difficulty hasn't increased. And they're more aggressive, which actually makes it easier to parry them. Parrying is only good higher up. Funnily enough, that if enemies keep attacking you and are very aggressive, parrying becomes usable. So on Grandmaster, it's great. On Jedi Master, it's terrible.
Right.
That's my assessment. I'll do some scores now. It's a 6.5 for 50. It's about a 7 or an 8 for 30, and it's like a 9 for less than 30.
Yep, I'd agree with that sentiment.
I feel like I wasted my money.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. As you say, if it was about 30, then I'd feel a little bit better about my purchase.
I'm going to rename
terrible.
I'm going to rename the game. It's called Jedi Fallen Expectations.
Hey!